Hi guys, welcome back. I wanted to create a video and describe a few things about oxygen not included and what are some of the tips to comfortably reach cycle 300 and pretty much be able to continue the game without any troubles. I think in this game nothing really beats experience, and the more you play the better you become. But I want to describe a few things and let you know of a few things so that you don't get the bad experiences that I got and you don't make the same mistakes. And that will definitely help you with making sure that your duplicants stay alive, that your colony expands properly, that you handle some of the colony matters properly, and generally speaking, you will have less headaches as time progresses. So this will be formed in a sort of small video, a rather short video, and I will describe some of the simple ideas that you have to keep in mind where you want to create a colony that will survive for long cycles. So generally speaking, till you reach cycle 150 or 180 or sort of, I would definitely recommend that you stay with 5 duplicants. It's a good idea to have less duplicants than more duplicants because you do not require as much food and you don't require as much oxygen. And obviously oxygen is the most important resource in this game. And you have to always remember that algae, which is one of the initial elements, is not abundant, so there is limited supply. And after you actually consume most of your algae, and even if there is some algae around, as you can see here, you definitely want to start working towards an electrolyzer setup with gas pumps, and I have created a separate video on this. And pretty much this will supply your oxygen with your base with a lot of oxygen. And you see that I have some areas here that where the oxygen is actually barely breathable, and that's because I was trying to set up my power in a new location over here, and I had a little bit of a shutdown. And you see there's a lot of oxygen flowing here, but once time progresses, it will be in the whole of my base. And you notice that I'm using a lot of gas vents in the important areas, like the beds over here. So that I'm making sure that my duplicants have enough air, because not having enough air actually messes with your duplicant stress levels. And always pay attention to your stress levels here in your immune systems. And as you see here, 50% is okay, is not so bad. But I have a duplicant here, it's only one, whose immune system is 60, so you may want to take a look at what's happening. And when you see some duplicant whose immune system is going bananas, you want to check this tab here, and we are seeing that he has consumed slime lung, and that makes sense because I've sent him over to this area where there is actually, let me go to the germ overlay. There's a lot of slime lung. As you see, there's slime lung in the air here, and I'm creating a setup with chlorine here that will be destroying the slime lung. But yeah, this is sort of like a mistake by me. Actually it's a controlled mistake. I mean, I do have my med beds here and pretty much my area here where I can treat him if he gets sick. But yeah, you kind of want to have one duplicant, and I'm for the most part using one duplicant that comes over to this area in order to open up new locations and expand. And I have been a little bit unlucky in this colony because I got my frozen area here, my ice area, the area where I can pretty much use most of my cold generators because they can cool down easily. And I got it in an area that's very far from my base, and this is a little bit of a problem because if you do want to have your cold generators and the things that produce heat in the cold biomes, so that they don't actually hit your base in terms of temperature, and you do want to have heavy watt wires here, and you eventually want to connect this to a power transformer, and I will be creating a tutorial on this because it's a little bit involved, but generally speaking the idea is that with heavy watt wires you can use I think 20,000 kilowatts, which is more than enough. But with the normal wires there's like 1,000 kilowatts that go through, and that's just not enough for most cases. And what you need to be doing is using multiple power transformers. Let's say you have one here, one here, one here, one here, in separate levels, and so you actually separate your wires in chunks of 1,000 kilowatts, and you don't go more than that, so that your cords are not overloaded, your circuits are not overloaded, which happens to me here. It's something that I'm kind of working around now. That was definitely because my cold biome is really far from my core base, and yeah, that can be very problematic. And the other thing that you need to pay attention to is how you handle your gases. You see here that I have mechanized airlocks. You really don't want your chlorine and hydrogen to come in your base. Hydrogen may be okay because it's actually very light in terms of weight, so it will be in the top portions of your base, as you see, like here, and you can have like a pump that pumps it, and it's actually easy to remove. Chlorine is a little bit more tricky to remove, so I would definitely recommend that you try to isolate it as much as possible and just pump it in the places that you actually use it, like as I'm doing here, for instance, where I'm actually pumping the chlorine, and I'm trying to pump it inside this location. So another thing that you need to keep in mind is that you need an area of clean water and an area of polluted water, and it's a good idea to get your polluted water through a pump and then send it to a transformer here, like the water sieve, that actually transforms your polluted water to clean water just by using sand. And yeah, sand is also a material that is kind of abundant, but it can you can run out of it eventually, I suppose. So it's also a good idea to have some hamster wheels, especially if you have a lot of duplicants, because your power requirements or your power needs will definitely escalate the more duplicants you use, and so I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and create a few wheels, just in case. You see I'm utilizing them still, and part of the reason why is again, as I mentioned, because I'm using the cold biome. Yeah, don't forget to have some asset stables and definitely a lot of storage compactors. Make sure that you have enough storage compactors that are empty, and you can see if their usage here with their levels, the sliders here. Yeah. So, and yeah, always also make sure that you have a nice location where you can have your farms that has good flow of oxygen. And again, you see there's a little bit of trouble here just because I had troubles with my power, but as you see now, it's actually gone back to normal, so it's pumping everything, and pretty soon everything will be back to normal. So yeah, you see that the colony is running fine, and when you need more food, make sure that you use the highest priority. You can go back to 5 if you don't need so much, and definitely try to get lice loaf. Lice loaf is better than moose bars, mainly because of diarrhea, and you don't want to have diarrhea because it really messes with the stress levels of your duplicants. And so just have some hydroponic farms that do require some water, and grow some mealwood, and just use the mealwood over here to create lice loaf. And that should be good enough for most of your duplicants' needs. And later on, you can look to add more to their diet and make it even better. So yeah, these are some of the main things that I'm using. And another trick that you need to bear in mind is how to isolate different types of gases. And one idea for doing so is actually to have a water container here, as you see, which actually, and this actually helps because the oxygen from here, or actually any gas from here, cannot go to this side, and any gas from this side cannot go to that side. So it's actually almost like a tap. Your duplicants, yeah, will get the the debuff from having water on their feet and stuff. I think it's called soggy feet, and but that's okay if you think that if you actually see that chlorine is actually isolated here and doesn't actually come to my main base. It's a small price to pay. And yeah, always remember to have some masterpieces around and some sculptures, some paintings to help with your stress levels. I think my stress levels are fine here, and as I mentioned, I do have just a person whose immune system is compromised. but it's controllable. I mean, it's not a huge deal. And also make sure that you have a steam geyser with which can provide you with pretty much water that doesn't end, so an unlimited water supply. And there's also chlorine supplies, chlorine geysers like the one that is here, which I'm gonna be using shortly in that in this chlorine area, just to help me clean the slime lag. And so you see, it's really far, so I have to to do some magic here, some weird stuff in order to make my pumps go through. But yeah, you will notice that this game is a lot of hassle with ventilation. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in my base with ventilation, like hydrogen pumps, oxygen pumps. And there's actually a lot of oxygen going through here. I could even cut that stop it for a while, just so that I supply more oxygen over here. But there is also a lot of plumbing. Look at the plumbing; it's insane. And another trick that I want you to remember, which I had a little bit of trouble with, is when you are using these bridges here, always pay attention to the arrow, because the arrow points to where the actual liquid will be flowing towards. So initially I was making a lot of mistakes just by having bridges set up almost without thinking about them, and I would get bridges that were not working, and I would be blocking my my supply, whether that was ventilation or water or fluid supply, liquid. So yeah, if you do these things, you won't have a lot of trouble keeping up with your base, and you can pretty much reach more than cycle 300, but pretty easily, even 500, 600, even 1,000, I would think. It really shouldn't be that much trouble, and you can look to slowly build your base to better standards, like the thing that I'm going to be doing here with the power transformers, for instance. So yeah, hopefully this can help you with your game, so that you avoid some of the mistakes I made. And I would say that it's super important to make sure that your duplicates are in good shape, and make sure that you have enough oxygen by looking at your oxygen overlay all the time, and also make sure that you don't get chlorine and hydrogen free flowing in your base. That can be really problematic, and you may have to create pumps and all that. And yeah, the solutions can be really weird. So I would definitely recommend that you make sure that you don't have chlorine flowing through your base. And as you see here, there have been cases where you actually have to isolate. Oh, I have somebody making a mess here for some reason. So when this happens, when somebody makes a mess, this means that they generally don't have, they cannot reach, and that's probably why. Although, yeah, this means that they can probably not reach the other side of the of your colony, where the toilets are. So you need to pay attention to what's going on here, and I'm gonna be doing that shortly. I think that's something may be going on with. Although this is Devon, I'll take a look at it later. But yeah, keep in mind that whenever you get messages like that, something unexpected happens in terms of your duplicate not be able to access core locations. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon with more tutorials on oxygen not included. My next one will probably be about power and how to handle power. And the more you know before you start the game, the better you will actually do when you're playing the game, because you can actually design how you want your power to behave. So, and everything, like even if we're talking about water and pretty much everything in this game. So yeah, thanks for watching, and hope you like the video. And we are shortly going to be reaching 200 subscribers, so I'm excited, and hopefully you will subscribe too. And also like the video if you did learn something here. And yeah, happy new year guys, and I'll see you soon with more oxygen not included videos. See ya, bye.